Welcome back to Star or Shovelware, my name's Luke, and today I'm bringing you another walkthrough guide, this time for the ultra difficult Contra-like run and gun platformer Super Cyborg. Now if you picked up this hidden gem of a game and have found yourself struggling, then you needn't struggle anymore, as today in this guide I'm going to be talking you through how to beat all 7 of the game's levels, as well as every boss battle step by step, and we're going to be playing the game on normal mode, which is a little tougher than easy with a few extra mechanics to watch out for. With that said though, let's get straight on into the guide, and make sure to hit that like button if it helps you out, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all my latest content. So starting off from level 1 then, right off the bat you're going to run forward, blast a couple of vine things, and grab the machine gun and fire rate power-ups above you. This one's a relatively simple level and there's not too much to look out for, and moving through the water, just watch out for those tree flower projectiles. Heading up over the walkway and then dropping down the other side, you want to run close up to this monster spawner and then shoot down the power-up pod for a smart bomb to destroy all on-screen enemies. Working your way up this next ramp, you'll find a ground turret at the top which you can stop short of and quickly destroy, and I'd say leave the energy gun pickup and just keep hold of your machine gun for now. Now dropping into this water, watch out for the enemies and jump up to the next spawner where you'll be safe. After this you'll have another turret to deal with which you're going to have to lay down to hit, and as you drop off the other side the spread shot power up will arrive, so make sure to grab it, as well as the fire rate pickup which comes shortly after it. And now you got pretty much a clear run to the boss from here. Now this big eyeball boss has 2 things to look out for. While the eye is open he'll shoot single projectiles at you, which you just need to strafe side to side to avoid, and when the eye disappears he starts to lob these explosive eyeballs in random directions, which are also relatively easy to avoid. There's also an enemy spawner over on the left hand side, so be sure to pick off anything which pops out of it, and all you really need to do in this fight is blast the eyeball whenever it appears, and after about 3 cycles you should be able to take it down. Now if you've managed to survive without dying, then you'll be rewarded with an extra life and take your spread shot to the next level with you. And a little tip for you here, if you accidentally die and lose your weapon in the next level, you can always quit out to the main menu and then reload your save file to restart the level and get it back. For the purpose of this guide though, I'm actually going to be starting every level fresh. So starting off level 2 then, as you make your way forward and shoot this spawner enemy, you're going to want to pick up this laser power up above you. Now at certain points in this level you're going to want to tap your shoot button instead of holding it, and this is one of those points, so destroy this canister and then the claw enemy, and make sure to stand where I am to kill it safely. Moving forwards, shoot this green eye dude above you, and then as you hop up these platforms and get to the top, make a mad dash for the turret and stand just off centre beneath it, because these turrets have actually got a blind spot. Now after killing the turret and moving up, you've got 2 more green eyes above you to deal with, and then it's back to tapping your fire button as you run forward to take out this other spawner and once more stand below this turret, but also make sure to take out the red dude who comes behind you and avoid his projectile. Now as you jump up these ledges you want to head to the left and stand where I am before jumping up, as there's a turret above you, and after taking down that, as you jump up onto this platform there's also a safe spot here, so take your time and take out the turret. Now moving forward you're going to want to take out some of these annoying fly-like enemies, and then you've got another container to deal with and another claw guy. After dealing with him, there's another spawner to deal with, and then you can slowly make your way forward and deal with the fly spawner, but again watch out for the red guy who comes behind you. Now working your way up these platforms, you're going to want to take out these green dudes before you jump up. After this, take out the eyeball, and then continue to work your way up, taking down the next fly spawner. Following this, you're going to want to jump on the spot to scroll the screen up, and immediately shoot up and to the left to take out the green eye, followed by shooting directly upwards to take out the turret. From here you've got a couple of platforms to jump up, and a final container and claw dude to take out, and then it's on to the boss. Now this boss is probably the easiest in the game, and all you've got to do is take out the 4 eyeball hand things to start with, each of which shoots a single projectile at you. Each time they're destroyed they'll leave a hole behind from which a fly will spawn, but these shouldn't really cause you any issues. Now after destroying all 4 of these, you're going to have to destroy the heart in the centre, which will periodically shoot out a series of projectiles, but all you need to do is stand below the boss, shoot up and dodge them, and you should be able to destroy the boss in 2 or 3 cycles. Now level 3 in the game is all about keeping moving, and you don't need to really worry about any of the enemies. All you need to do is aim forward, hold your shoot button and keep running. Don't worry about these frog enemies coming up, as they'll die just as you get to them, and make sure you aim up at an angle as you run up this hill. Now at the top of this hill you're going to meet a mortar enemy, and you're probably going to have to jump over one of his projectiles. After this you'll meet another frog dude, and jumping up this platform be sure to take out this red guy. After jumping off this ledge while firing to take out the eyeball, this next part is quite tricky, as we have another mortar dude to deal with and projectiles chasing us from the turrets, so as soon as you get beneath him, jump backwards over them. Heading up this hill we have another froggy who will jump straight over you, and then it's onto this level's sub-boss. So all you need to do to start with this boss is just stand where I am and then jump over his last couple of projectiles. He will then drop an eyeball thing which you need to shoot and avoid its projectile, and then he'll slowly walk towards you, and once he reaches you just lie down on the ground next to him. After the eyeball fires another projectile and then protracts, run over the other side of the screen and jump to avoid these blue balls, and then just turn around and repeat the process, and you should be able to take him down before he reaches you. Now after killing this sub-boss you'll reach a mid-level checkpoint, and there are 3 levels in the game which have checkpoints like this, and in each of them I'm going to be reloading and starting fresh from the checkpoint as though I just lost all of my lives. From here then, head on forward, shoot the first fish and then jump on this platform and just wait a moment before jumping over the second fish's projectiles. Shoot the green eyeball dude and then jump on the platform laying down to shoot the turret, and then jump up again and pick up the spread shot projectile, making sure to take out the enemies below you. Jumping down you'll meet another froggy, but if you time your jump just as he lands you'll be able to jump over him. And now it's on to this level's final boss. Now you can't actually damage this boss to start with, so just stand where I am, and as he flies towards you jump over his last couple of projectiles. As he enters from the top of the screen, keep firing upwards and move across to destroy the balls he drops, and then lay down in the centre of the arena to avoid his charge attack. He will then descend from the top and we can now damage the stalk which comes out, so perform a couple of jump shots then avoid a few projectiles he fires while shooting the stalk to destroy it. Now this next phase is pretty tricky. You need to aim up and shoot his backside whilst keeping moving right, and just before you get to the end, run back under him as he jumps, and he will then try to jump on you, so run over to the other side of the screen and repeat the process, or play it risky like I did and use half a screen. Onto his last phase then, he will fall to the ground and send out a wave of projectiles, and you just need to keep shooting him whilst timing your jumps to hop left and right as the wave flattens out, and just keep shooting him and you'll eventually take him down. Now level 3 is all about taking your time, and I'm actually going to be pausing this one periodically as I talk you through it. To start with, we're going to grab the hidden power up by jumping on the first platform and shooting the green sack above us, making sure to kill the enemy who drops down. After jumping up, shoot another bug who drops down, then jump on the spot to take out the spider above you, and then hopping up the platforms, grab the fire rate power up. Jump up onto the right hand platform and kill the spawner, as well as the enemy that drops down and the spider if you didn't kill it already, and then kill the enemy above you before jumping up. Now above you you'll see 2 more spawners which you need to take down, and then 2 enemies will appear. After these drop down, kill them and then jump up the next platform and wait for this 3rd enemy to drop down. Continuing up, you'll now encounter your first set of teeth above you which you need to take down as a priority, and then take down the spawner and another enemy who drops down. Now in this next part, stand on this platform and clear out a few of these glowing bats before you jump up and grab the spread shot power up. You can then carefully make your way up to the top and kill the bat spawner. Now in this next section, stand against this wall on this platform, then aim up and to the left to take out both of the enemy spawners. After this, we're going to be performing a series of jumps to easily take down 2 teeth enemies, and I'll walk you through this one slow time. Firstly, hold your R button to lock yourself in place. Jump up onto the next platform and then quickly jump once to the left, and after landing, jump on the spot and fire upwards to take down the first teeth enemy. At this point, the second teeth enemy will have fired a projectile at you, so jump to the left to avoid them, fire up at it, and as it fires its second projectile, jump back to the right to avoid it, and finish the enemy off if it's not already dead. Now here's that same manoeuvre in real time. Now making your way up, kill the couple of spiders and enemies, then jump up to the next platform and shoot the teeth enemy in the top left. Jump to avoid its projectiles, but watch out for the enemy spawners critters above you. Once it's dead, you can then continue upwards and take down 2 more spawners whilst standing on this ledge. Next, continue up, firing upwards to destroy the enemies and the final teeth enemy, and you're now into the home stretch, so head up and kill the spawner and the spider. On this next large platform, shoot the right hand power up container and grab the barrier, and then you can make some careful jumps up to the top of this section without having to worry about the enemies. So now we're on to the boss, and this one is quite a tricky one. Now firstly, as you jump into the arena, run and stand where I am, just below and to the right of its head. Its projectiles won't be able to hit you, but you need to do this quickly to take it out before its second attack phase starts. Once it's dead, the spider boss will then come down at a random location, and to avoid the projectiles it fires in this first phase, try and stay beneath it, which should allow you to walk between them. Following this, it will then crawl down to the centre and begin spawning critters, so just blast away at it from a safe distance. Next comes the tricky part. Now the boss will start alternating between firing a big green wave projectile and a green pod which then sticks to the floor, and you need to try and make the pods land to the left and right of the arena and keep the centre clear. After he fires 5 pods, he will then move to the top middle and spit out 2 spiky bollocks attached to webs, which he will then swing back and forth. For this section you need to stand at the centre and keep shooting upwards whilst jumping over them as they swing, and after the 4th jump, make sure you lie down to avoid the next swing. Next, quickly run to the far right and jump over the ball as it drops and bounces towards you, and the boss will then go back to his first phase, so again stick beneath him and keep firing, and you should be able to take him down part way through his critter phase if not before. On to level 5 then, where things start to get real spicy. Now to start with, run and keep jumping while firing to take out the first 2 enemies. After these, a centipede will pop out of the ground, but make sure to kill the enemies which come from behind and grab the machine gun power up. Moving forwards, you'll get another centipede spawn, and focus on taking it down, ignoring the caterpillars and the orbs that they spawn, as well as the enemies behind you. After this, keep running and jumping while shooting to destroy the orange floor pods, then hop up onto the platform after the caterpillar to take down the enemy spawner on the ceiling. Once you've done this, drop down and take out another centipede, making sure to kill the enemies who come from behind you. Then hop over the barrier, destroy the orange pods, and after the first acid waterfall drops, jump across the 2 gaps. Now 2 power-ups will be on the way at this point, and you just want to make sure you grab the first one, which will contain the energy weapon, so quickly shoot it down before killing the enemies following you. After this, take down the centipede, make your way past the caterpillar, and take down the 2 barriers ahead of you. You're then going to want to take the top route here, destroying the 2 orange floor pods as you jump up. It's now time for another mini boss, and this one's a bit of a bitch. Now to start with, you're going to want to charge up a shot, and as soon as the orb appears, let it loose and fire a few more shots before laying down to avoid the big laser. After this, stand up and keep blasting away, taking care to jump over any projectiles which come your way, and he'll eventually shoot a ball at you, so jump over it and then prepare to move. Now as you move through this tunnel, he'll keep releasing flies at you, and this part can get pretty tricky. After taking down 4 flies, you'll then see a ceiling spawner come into view, and what you want to do is run towards the spawner, firing diagonally up at it to kill the enemies which spawn, and quickly run beneath it. Once past it, you can turn around and do some jump shots to kill the flies and enemies, and then just continue down the tunnel, taking down the flies which occasionally spawn. Now after coming up this second slope, the boss will then stop again, so get a charge shot ready for when the orb appears, and again lay down to avoid the laser. After this, run over the hump to the right hand side, as this can block some of the boss's projectiles, and keep shooting the orb to take him down. Now your reward for killing him will be a spread shot on fire rate power up, which is super helpful for the end of level boss. Grab them and drop down, destroying the orange pods, then drop down again and take out the centipede and enemies, but avoid shooting the orange ceiling pods before finally dropping down into the boss arena. Now this boss can be quite tricky, but he only has a couple of mechanics. First off, you're going to have eyeballs that open and fire orange discs at you, and the best way to avoid these is by standing in the centre and then running to the right before jumping back to the left over them. Once the eye closes, a big spiky thing will pop out on the right hand side, drop bouncing balls and spawn floor enemies, so just blast away at it and walk underneath the balls, and your spread shot will take care of the floor enemies. Now the boss will cycle through these 2 phases, and each time an additional eye will open, each of them firing a single disc at you. Each time you close an eye, the remaining eyes will gain an additional disc, but if you keep to the centre, run right and then jump back to the left, you should be able to avoid them with no real issues. Now in a couple of seconds you'll see that the big spiky thing gets destroyed, and the final set of 5 eyes will open. This is by far the hardest phase of the fight, but after destroying these and closing them for good, the boss will be downed, and then it's on to level 6. Now level 6 is a top-down shooter level, and it's long and slow but not terribly difficult. The hardest part is getting your angles right. Moving into it though, head up and take down the first enemy, grabbing the machine gun power-up which appears. After this, take down 2 more enemies and head up to the right hand side to shoot another, then destroy the barrels from a safe distance before moving on. Now up ahead you need to aim up and to the left to take down 3 enemies, and these green ones will actually try to just walk into you to kill you. Proceeding through this next part you'll find 3 more, as well as a red and blue projectile shooting enemy, but like you these can only shoot in 8 directions, so the shots are actually pretty easy to avoid. Now in this next area you'll have a couple of green enemies to defeat, and then after this you'll meet a brand new enemy which I like to call the fidget spinner. These guys will try and actually fly into you and explode, but shooting them will knock them back. But what you need to do here is get all 4 of them to come down the middle at you, and then you can head down to the bottom left behind the toxic waste barrel so that they get stuck. Once they're down, head up the left side and grab the spread shot power up which appears, before keeping 2 more fidget spinners at bay. Next you want to quickly move up past the toxic waste when it stops spraying and take down a few more red and green enemies, and on the bridge you'll meet another fidget spinner and destroy 2 barrels before heading up to the left hand side. Now halfway up, a mortar enemy will spawn, and once it's finished firing, move past it, destroy the red enemy, and then you'll come face to face with a barrier enemy. All you need to do for this one though is move left and right and keep shooting at it, avoiding its single projectile. Once it's dead, then you can move up, destroy the next red enemy and a caterpillar enemy, and then proceed upwards and head over to the left hand side. After working your way past this next red enemy and the wall shooter, you're then going to walk down past this spinning spiky thing, and then time your walk to avoid the wall shooter's projectiles. Once past these, stop as you enter the next area to take down more green enemies and another red one. And further down there's another shield enemy to deal with next to some barrels, so take care not to blow yourself up with them. Now once you get past him, head down to the right of the spinning spike and scoot past it. Then stand at the top of the skull and take down the red enemies. As you work your way down this walkway, kill the green enemies, avoid the toxic gas, and then another mortar enemy that spawns about halfway down. And after getting to the bottom you'll find a bone bridge. Now as you work your way across this you want to stop about 2 ribs in and take down the fidget spinners. Once they're dead, you can then make your way past the mortar, and the next section is pretty tricky as you'll have another shield enemy to deal with at an angle as well as a few green walkers, but just take your time and focus on avoiding its projectiles. Now after this, head down the bone walkway, killing more greens and a couple of reds, and time your movements whilst walking past the gaps in the ribs to avoid the laser fire. Now once you get to this second laser, you're going to have to take it out, so take your time ducking in and out of cover. In this next section we've got 4 more fidget spinners to deal with. Now that they're dead, as you head onto this bridge, take care to avoid the enemy firing missiles at the bottom of the screen. Once across, head down and destroy the missile enemy. And as you cross this final bridge, you'll find more toxic gas, and this will actually be another mid-level checkpoint, so let's reload and continue on. Now, working your way through the toxic gas, destroy the barrel and head straight upwards past this point, taking down the greens and a red, and grabbing the laser power up along the way. Further up you'll find more greens to take down, another missile enemy and 2 more reds, and there'll also be 2 laser turrets. Now instead of taking them both down, what you want to do is shoot down the one on the right and then hug the right hand side of the screen, making your way up to destroy the final missile enemy. You can then head up into the boss arena. Now to start with, you're going to want to stay at the bottom middle as the boss charges into the arena, and as you're using the laser you're going to want to tap your fire button to do more damage. Now the boss's opening move sees him firing a series of laser beams, but if you stand directly in the middle you won't get hit. After 2 of these he will then fire a 3rd laser and bring his left claw towards you, so run to the right to avoid it, and once it reaches the other laser, both of them will move back to the left, so stay in between them. Now after this he's gonna rear up and charge at you again, so head down to either the bottom left or right hand corner. Following this he's gonna do a series of orb attacks at you, the first of which are relatively easy to avoid. But the second set are a little more tricky, but for these head to the bottom right hand corner, dodge the first orb which comes around, and then run up next to his right hand claw to avoid the rest. Now depending on how much damage you've done at this point, he may repeat his first orb attack, but if you've done enough, his next attack will see him trying to punch you with each of his claws, so to avoid these, head to the opposite side of the arena from which the attack is coming. After this you should be into the final couple of phases, where we will then put lasers up either side of the arena and keep moving back and forth shooting blue projectiles at you. In my footage though you'll see he only fired 1, as I'd actually done enough damage to almost skip this phase entirely, but in his very last phase he'll then fire a series of flashing projectiles at you, and you just need to keep dodging left and right to avoid them, and after 3 or 4 of them he should then be brown bread. And on we go to the game's 7th and final level, which is arguably the hardest of the lot. So from the start you're going to drop down and keep jumping and shooting, stopping to take out this tentacle enemy. Continue on, and as you drop down into the next area, shoot upwards and grab the power-ups, making sure to grab the energy weapon and not the machine gun. If you stand exactly where you land, you'll be able to jump over the eye wall's projectiles and destroy it whilst avoiding any of the other enemies. Now after this, head up the platform shooting diagonally to kill the acid trap and another enemy at the top, then move to shoot the second acid trap and another enemy. Next you'll want to time your jump over the spiky ball after the third acid trap goes off, then jump once on the spot while shooting to kill the eye wall before jumping across the gap. Now down in the next section you may have to kill another acid trap depending on the cycle, but after getting past these, jump off and head up the ramp, pausing at the top to shoot an enemy to the right, then drop down and shoot upwards to grab the spread shot and barrier power-ups. After this you want to head quickly onwards and then stop beneath the platform where I do to take down the acid trap and clear out some enemies. Now moving up to the spiky ball, when the two enemies spawn above and to the left, that's your cue to move forward, so shoot them, jump over the spiky balls and then take out the tentacle enemy. You'll now have another eye wall to deal with, as well as enemies spawning behind you, which should be relatively easy. Now following this, take out the acid trap on the ceiling and move forward whilst shooting upwards, as there's a mortar enemy up ahead. With your spread shot you should be able to destroy most of its projectiles and take it down, but watch out for the enemies behind you. Now this next jump is a right arsehole, but stand above this spike right here and then jump forward to make it safely through the spiky balls. After this, avoid the acid trap and continue onwards. You'll eventually come up to an enemy spawner which you need to destroy, so jump up and down on the spot and shoot it, but every 2 jumps turn around and kill the enemies behind you. Now once this is destroyed, jump up and continue onwards, and this next section will see you going down a series of ramps where your spread shot will deal with the spawners before you actually reach them, but I would pause for a moment each time you reach a ceiling spawner. Now that you've got through this part, you've got a big drop down into some purple shit, but avoid shooting and picking up this laser pickup and losing your spread shot. Now heading forwards, don't get too close to the green bubble spawner, as it also fires acid out of its sides. Once it's done spitting these bubbles, jump up and take out the enemies on the other side, and moving forward you'll meet another bubble spawner and above it another tentacle enemy, but make sure to stop moving just after these come into view, as beyond this is another tentacle enemy. Once the bubbles stop, quickly jump up and onto the left platform, taking care to avoid the orb that the tentacle fires, but avoid the small projectiles which appear from the orb when it's destroyed. Now that the route is clear, continue onwards and stop to shoot down the 2 acid spawners. Ahead there'll be another eye wall, and you need to stand between the bubble spawners while shooting it, but watch out for the enemies coming behind you. Ahead of this there'll be another enemy spawner to take down, and once you drop down into the purple shit again, this is the real tricky part. Now ahead of you is another mortar enemy, but you can't jump and move quickly due to the spiky balls, so as soon as his projectiles have finished falling, quickly walk underneath the balls and get beneath him where you'll be safe, but be sure to keep out of the bubble spawner's acid. After taking him down, you can then hop up onto the bubble spawner and to the ledge above, and then jump over the spiky balls. And so now we've reached the final checkpoint of the final level, and the final boss is just an elevator climb away. Starting from this checkpoint then, drop down onto the elevator. As it slowly rises, take a moment to do a little jig, and then take out the middle green sack as it appears, avoiding the creature which falls out of it. Now these next sections are a little tricky, but there is a knack to it, and you're going to need to control your movement by using the R button. Now as the elevator destroys the green sacks, a vine will bust out of the left wall, so angle your shots up at it, slowly moving forward as the elevator rises. Once it's just above your head, move across to the left vine and cut it back again to just above your head. Then run back to the middle and shoot directly at it before cutting the vine above it. Once this is done, quickly head over and cut the final right hand vine back, and as soon as you've done this, shoot up and to the left to destroy a green sack, which will then provide you with a safe spot to stand in. Now in this next section, you need to prioritise the turrets, so keep shooting upwards and jump to the right to take down the first turret. Grab the fire rate projectile from the right hand pod, ignoring the left, and then immediately start shooting upwards to take down another turret. Run just off to the left of centre and shoot up to destroy the second, and after this cut back the right hand vine, then run over to the left hand side and shoot up to take down the final turret. From here you can just cut back the last two vines. Now after the elevator passes the green vine, an enemy will then latch onto the centre of it, so shoot downwards to blast it off and then quickly move to the right as you see me doing and shoot upwards to take down the turret before running to the left to take down a second. Two more enemies will now latch onto the lift, but cut back the two vines on the left, then run to the centre and quickly kill the right latcher. It will be tight, but after this, cut back the left vine again, then shoot the ones on the right before shooting down one of the sacks again. You should then be able to cut back the vines a final time, ride the elevator through a safe spot between the sacks, and then take out the last latcher, ready to face the final boss. Now, firstly grab the spread shot from the capsule on the left. The boss will then latch onto the elevator and pull it upwards, but you can't actually destroy its suckers until the music kicks in. Once it does though, destroy them and then drop the elevator. Now I like to head to the left to start this first phase, which sees a bunch of vines trailing down from above, and at random one of them will be a big spiky one and have an orb that you need to destroy. Shooting upwards though, your spread shot should be able to easily keep most of the vines at bay, and what you want to do here is ensure that you're at least 2 vines away from the spiky one, as it breaks into pieces when destroyed, which will kill you if they hit you. Now each time that you destroy one, the vines will no longer spawn in that location, and instead acid will periodically drop from the ceiling, and you'll notice that they drop from either side of the arena towards the centre. For most of this phase you should be able to stay beneath a vine, but for the final few you'll likely have to dodge between the falling acid drops, which to be honest isn't too difficult. Now the first phase in that boss fight is quite long, but once it's complete, head over to the left hand side standing just to the left of the boss's eye, and a blue orb will descend from the centre of the boss which you then need to shoot at. The boss will periodically latch onto the elevator and pull it upwards, so your number one priority is destroying the suckers again to drop the elevator. Now in order to reveal the central orb, you need to shoot back the teeth which cover it, and as you deal damage to the orb, the boss's eye will then well up with green tears which will eventually fall, hitting the floor and spreading outwards. The easiest way to avoid these is to stand to the far left and then just after the tear lands, jump to the right but push left again just before you hit the central column, and you'll probably get 2 tears to fall before a sound effect signals the return of the suckers, so don't rush things and take your time. After about 5 tears you'll destroy the central orb and half of the boss's face in the process. Now at the start of this next phase, stay to the left as the acid pours out of its gaping wound. After this head over to the centre, and as the boss's left eyeball drops out, blast away at it. Now both eyeballs will then start to move erratically, every so often firing a series of projectiles at you, so stay roughly in the centre and then run to the right when they shoot at you. After 3 of these, the left eye will then start dropping 4 projectiles in a row while the right fires a larger one directly at you, so make sure to position yourself between them and jump over the larger projectile. Now if you've been focusing the right eye, it should explode after about 2 or 3 of these cycles, and the left eye will increase its fire rate. If you take too long to destroy it, it will then surround itself in orbs and then shoot them out in a circle, but you should be able to take it down before it manages to do this. Congratulations, you've just beaten the final boss of the game. But before you celebrate, there's one last thing to take care of, so stand to the left where I am, and as this giant bulging blob thing drops down, just keep firing diagonally up into its pustules, destroying them all. Now you can celebrate. And so that's the game down. Congratulations, you've just beaten one of the hardest Contra-likes in existence, but you've only actually done it on normal mode, and doing so has unlocked hard mode for you to take a stab at, so crack on and let me know how you get on. Hopefully though this guide has helped you out and got you through anything you were struggling with, and if it did, drop a like to show your appreciation, let me know where you got stuck in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my content and want to see more. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.